everyone on YouTube. Same stream, different video. We're playing. Well, we're not really playing. I'm gonna be talking. We finished Shadows of Valentia, and I talked about the game on its own. Probably a solid 6 to 7 out of 10, depending. But I'll sit on that as I, just not think about it for a while. Just keep thinking about it. But we're gonna be talking about this game compared to Three Houses. I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Hopefully, like not more than 20 minutes. I don't think I have too much to say. But I want to take a minute to compare this game to Three Houses and talk about what I loved about this game, what this game did better, what Three Houses did better. Because honestly, they're basically tied. I'm just gonna say that off the cuff. They're pretty much tied. I don't think I have a favorite Fire Emblem game. I don't think I like any of them more. They both do different things well. So I'm gonna talk about them for a bit. First, the music. Music is really weird to compare because it's very subjective. But I think I like the music all around. I like Three Houses soundtrack more. Three Houses has a lot more like catchy tracks compared to Valentia. A lot more of them stuck out to me, but the tracks that Valentia had were well done. Like I love the Regel Castle theme of the Regel Castle map theme of Valentia. I love the Act 3 and 4 normal map themes of Valentia. The final map theme was really good, but Three Houses has so many iconic songs like Breaking Daylight and like Fodlin Winds, and it just brings me in the mood. So I really just think Three Houses does like some of the tracks I love from Three Houses. It has a lot more tracks that I love. The monastery theme's even pretty good in Three Houses, and then you have like just a normal ambient music. So I feel like I definitely think I prefer Three Houses soundtrack. One because like Three Houses just has more tracks that speak to me, and two because the ambient music is better, like the overworld music, and Valentia's overworld music was fine, but it wasn't nearly as good as Three Houses. So there, I think Three Houses would win in the music department. Gameplay. This is tough. Gameplay's tough. I want to say when it comes to like mechanics and stuff. When it comes to like the mechanics of Shadows of Valentia and the mechanics of Three Houses, I think I prefer Shadows of Valentia. Shadows of Valentia takes out durability, takes out weapon, well, they both have no weapon triangle. It takes out durability. And I feel like durability is a big thing because while you could forge with a blacksmith in Three Houses to get your weapon back, I really think that having no durability is cool. Because it basically made mages a lot more useful, and it made healers a lot more useful. You could have argued it made it more broken, the healers, and that's why they nerfed it in Three Houses. But I think it's necessary for some of Valentia's maps. I can't imagine playing Valentia with Three Houses mechanics. It just wouldn't work well. Valentia would be like probably one of the worst Fire Emblem games. But I do think when it comes to mechanics, Shadows of Valentia does better in that department. And Three Houses, though, I will say this, the map design, they're tied, honestly, because Three Houses is relatively easy. I didn't think Three Houses was, like, super, super easy, but Three Houses, like, isn't a difficult game. So, part of me prefers Shadows of Valentia. But as I said in my Shadows of Valentia review, Shadows of Valentia can get really frustrating really fast. So, I honestly think I liked, they're tied. I think they're tied because Shadows of Valentia has the better mechanics, but Three Houses doesn't have infuriating map design. I'm not saying Three Houses is unrivaled and perfect in map design, but it doesn't have any infuriating map other than Fog. Fog in Three Houses sucks, and it should be removed. But other than Fog, I'd rather deal with Fog than New Ababa's Abode, or just the Dumas Tower section of Celica's side. So I do think New Ababa's Abode and some other maps in Valentia are just so poorly made, and so they feel unfair at times that I just prefer Three Houses. Plus, Shadows of Valentia has the ambush mechanic, and I just really hate the ambush mechanic. So honestly, gameplay's tied. I can't pick between them. They're basically tied in the gameplay department. Now we get to the fun part. Presentation. Now, I know Three Houses is on the Switch, so you're like, oh, Three Houses looks better. I'm gonna be real with you. I think Shadows of Valentia would win. And Shadows of Valentia has so many unique animations and so many unique move sets. Three Houses, they have all the combat arts, but every character does the same animation. And even idle animations, the animations are so limiting for Three Houses. So Shadows of Valentia is a lot more unique, even though it was on the 3DS and they have the 3DS models. I still think Shadows of Valentia was ahead of its time. It really pushed the 3DS to its limits, but Three Houses really didn't. Like, Three Houses doesn't look ugly by any means. I still think Three Houses has nice portraits. The portraits in Three Houses are good. They're probably slightly better than Valentia, but Valentia's portraits aren't too far back. I think Shadows of Valentia has good portraits. I think Three Houses are better, but that's better hardware. So the fact that Three Houses is better in something is not saying much. But I think they're both fine. I think Shadows of Valentia looks better, mostly because Three Houses is so limiting on the animations and the models like look meh in Three Houses. I feel like other than the portraits and the art style of Three Houses, everything else looks like meh, you know? Like, it didn't really push the Switch to its limits like Shadows of Valentia. So I think Shadows of Valentia would win in that department. Now we get the story and characters. This is tough. This is really, really tough. So I think when it comes to the story, I'm just going to say the story. It's easy. Shadows of Valentia wins. Three Houses doesn't have a trash story. I know Raptor would say it's a bad story. Three Houses' story isn't bad. It's not trash, but it's not very great. It's like okay. In Three Houses, the problem is, especially, it's hard to compare because Three Houses has three different routes. But let's just take the overall story, you know? Like, the overall story of Three Houses of, like, those who slither in the dark, and the dragons, and, I'm trying to think of it, and, the stuff with Rhea. Like, the general plot of Three Houses. Like, it's fine. I don't really have a super attachment to it. I don't really have any problems with it. Like, I mean, I do have some problems with it. I feel like those who slither in the dark are really missed potential. And while I said that Shadows of Valentia's villains are serviceable, being serviceable is better than not caring. I do not care about like Monica and Thalus, whatever his name was, the other of those who slither in the dark guy. I do not care about those villains. So I feel like those who slither in the dark are really underwhelming and they're not really utilized all that well, especially in the Golden Deer route. So, I think Shadows of Valentia had better villains, even though they weren't like amazing. They were good at their job, and they did a lot better as villains and being antagonists for the characters. Three Houses has some neat lore. I like the whole Fodling thing, and I like the whole Adrestian Empire, Felgaris castle. I love how, like, you know, Edelgard's group is the Edelgard's Black Eagles are the Adrestian Empire of the Empire, and then like royalty for Dimitri and the Blue Lions, and the Golden Deer are kind of like outsiders, foreigners, like a bunch of misfits. I do really like the theming. I like the theming of Three Houses. I like how they divide the houses, and I like how they divide the region of Fodlan. However, the story is just not executed that well. And I do feel like part of that goes into having to play all the routes to really get a general understanding of Three Houses. Like, I feel like I can't appreciate the story. I have yet to play Blue Lions, but I played Crimson Flower once and Golden Deer twice, so I have a general gist. I just feel like Three Houses is a little weak in the storytelling. Some of the characters are cool. I like Edelgard and Claude. I don't really know much about Dimitri, so I'm not going to talk about him. But the story in Three Houses is like just it's lacking. Like, the early game, nothing really happens. You're just passing the days, and like it's nice to learn about the characters and stuff, but you're not really doing much in terms of story. You're like on standby for most of it, and then like your father dies, and then like the time skip happens. Edelgard betrays you. You're at war. It's just like, it's not bad. It's fine. It gets the job done, but it's like, it's not really that deep. Like, sure, the lore stuff could be really deep, and you can play all the routes, but like the overall story, I found it much more boring compared to Shadows of Valentia. You know, and what drove me to Three Houses was the characters. Shadows of Valentia, on the other hand, I feel like Shadows of Valentia does a lot better at building the world and the lore. Talking to NPCs was so rewarding. In Three Houses, I feel like the big problem is you're like in the monastery. So while the monastery bit is neat because I like social sims like Persona, I feel like it limits your worldview. Like in Shadows of Valentia, you're traveling around the world, so you're talking to these NPCs, talking to people about Valentia and about dude, I'm losing my train of thought like crazy. Talking about like the Deliverance and the Regalian Empire, learning more. You're getting a better worldview by going through Shadows of Valentia, talking to the NPCs, and even just going through with the characters. But Three Houses is so limited. You're just told everything like in a bare bones way. Like it's so limiting in how it can actually do stuff with worldview. So I do feel like Shadows of Valentia has a beat for that as well. And I just feel like the stuff with Duma and Milla was a lot more interesting than the stuff with Those Who Slither in the Dark and Nemesis. Nemesis as well. Nemesis comes out of left field. Nemesis is a final boss for Golden Deer, but I feel like Nemesis just comes out of left field. So I found that a lot more interesting than the stuff with the church and whoever your antagonist is, because again, Three Houses focuses more on war, which I will say Three Houses had some nice moments, like the whole like war bit. It's tragic, the characters are at war, so Three Houses isn't all that bad with the plot. But I was a lot more interested in Shadows of Valentia with the kind of lore it's set up. And the final reason why I think this kind of goes into characters, but the story's better in Valentia is the protagonist. I'm not a fan of silent protagonist. There's only a very few select games, Persona mostly, that I am okay with silent protagonist. If it's not a Persona game or a Pokemon game, then I don't want silent protagonist. I just feel like silent protagonists like take away the fun of having a really well written character. Byleth is the most bland and blank slate character I have ever met, and that's saying something, because I even feel like Joker has more of a personality than Byleth from Persona 5. Like silent protagonists, sometimes they can add a little flavor to them, but like Byleth he just has this like very standard expression, and you can't really like get a sense of who Byleth is, even though he's a silent protagonist. Like, his father dies relatively early on in Three Houses, and even though Byleth is obviously, like, shocked by it, I just can't find myself caring about Byleth. I'm sad because Geralt is a cool character, and for Leonie because she looks up to him. But, I just can't feel for Byleth. It's really hard to feel for Byleth, and it's hard to insert myself into Byleth with the way Byleth is. He's just the most bland character ever, and I just don't find any attachment to him. So, I don't know. Or her, because Byleth could be a girl. I never played with the girl, I played with the boy, so I'm talking about the boy. But, Alm and Celica are actual characters. They have, like, motivations, they have, like, likes and dislikes and goals. They are much better characters. They are also an amazing dynamic. The whole, like, Milla, Celica parallel, and Alm, not really Duma, but kind of, being more on the war side of things, Celica being more on the pilgrimage side of things. It's a really nice dynamic. So even them separately, even having Alm or Celica as main character would have been far better than Byleth. I just feel like silent protagonists don't really fit with a game like this, where characters are a big deal. So easily that's why Shadows of Valentia's story is higher up as well. So I don't want anyone to think Three Houses' story is trash. It's not. It's good. There's some neat stuff. I think it does the war theme really well, but I think Shadows of Valentia's overall story is just much better. Finally, the characters. I knew going into this it would be hard to top Three Houses, and I do really like Shadows of Valentia interacting the characters. I like the interactions that the characters have. But I think at the end of the day, I prefer Three Houses. And that's mostly because I prioritize characters over interactions and character chemistry. I'd rather the characters be interesting than them have, I'd rather them be interesting and have neat dynamics. And you might be saying, Three Houses doesn't really do much with the characters in the story. The supports. The supports in Shadows of Valentia weren't bad, but they could have been better. They felt like such a waste to have them in battle compared to, outside of battle, Like, it's really unfortunate that Shadows of Valentia went the route they did. Again, it's a remake of the second Fire Emblem game. It's unfortunate that it went with that route instead of the Three Houses route. Three Houses has some funny supports like Lysithea eating sweets, which I'll never forget. And then like Ingrid and Ignatz had really neat supports with the whole, I think Ignatz was painting a really strong woman that was based on Ingrid. I just like the characters in Three Houses because they're interesting and they have nice backstories while also having nice interactions and chemistry. Shadows of Valentia had probably some better interactions in the story. In the story, Valentia had better actions, but I think the characters aren't interesting enough on their own, and I think that's why I prefer Three Houses. So, yeah, it's up to preference. It depends if you prioritize good characters like on their own or together. But I think I just love the Three Houses cast. I like every single character. I find them all really, really interesting, except Lawrence and Raphael. I have my favorites: Lysithea, Hilda, Claude, Ash, and Ingrid specifically. And take a Black Eagles character just so it doesn't seem like Dorothea there. But yeah, I have my favorites of Three Houses. I have my favorites of Valentia too. May, Matilda, Claire, Cliff, Celica. They're great too. So I think Valentia, I think it's fair because Valentia has better protagonists because, you know, Byleth is silent. And Valentia's characters come pretty close to Three Houses, but I still prefer Three Houses because they just are really interesting and I'm really attached to them. And I get to know their backstories, get to know what they're going through. And while Valentia had better interactions and better character chemistry, like May and Bowie being one of my all-time favorite couples that actually ended up together, Three Houses just has both of what I like, and Valentia only has one of them, which is the interactions, while Three Houses has interesting backstories and interactions. So they're both great though. Like I still prefer Three Houses at the end of the day. So yeah, there it is. I think that's a good enough comparison with Three Houses as opposed to Shadows of Valentia. Overall, they're basically tied because music, Three Houses, presentation, Shadows of Valentia, characters, Three Houses, by a pretty small amount. Story, Shadows of Valentia, and then gameplay's tied. So yeah, they're tied. 2 wins for Three Houses, 2 wins for Shadows of Valentia. They're tied in gameplay. I think that's perfect. Under 20 minutes. Let's go. I got this good. I didn't want this to be a super deep analysis of the games. I just wanted to talk about the general gist because it's kind of hard to compare them. They're so different. But overall, they're basically tied. I feel the same. I feel like how I feel about Three Houses is pretty close to how I feel about Valentia. Except when Valentia gets frustrating, which almost never happens in Three Houses. But yeah, there you go. That's it. This is the ending of Valentia. This is the ending of the analysis. I already did my closure to Shadows of Valentia, so I'm not going to do it again. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the playthrough, either the Three Houses playthrough or this playthrough. I hope you look forward to Three Hopes, because I'm really looking forward to Three Hopes. And I can't wait to play that game June 24th, the weekend of my birthday. And I'll do an NG Plus of Three Houses like after Three Hopes. I will do a Blue Lions run because I want to play Blue Lions. So yeah, hope you all enjoyed this comparison. I'm glad I was able to play these 2 great Fire Emblem games, and I will see you all next time.